What if I told you that the secret to lasting wealth, the kind that survives wars, recessions, even exile, isn't found in Wall Street, banks, or any modern money guru? It's buried in ancient wisdom, passed down through generations of one of the most financially resilient communities in human history. While 78% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, this group has quietly built more millionaires per capita than any other in the Western world. They don't follow trends. They follow timeless truths. Today, I'm going to reveal 7 Jewish money rules so powerful they've shaped empires, and if applied with intention, they'll reshape your financial destiny. These aren't hacks. They're not get rich quick. They're laws. And like gravity, they work whether you believe in them or not. But here's the catch. Most people do the exact opposite of these rules. That's why they stay broke. Today, that ends. Let's begin. Most people think wealth is built by earning more, but that's only half the story. The other half, the one few ever master, is how you manage what you already have. The first timeless Jewish money rule is brutally simple. Live below your means, not at them. Now, this goes directly against modern society's programming. Every ad, every influencer, every financial flex tells you, you deserve it. You work hard, treat yourself. But here's the truth. The wealthy know and the broke ignore. Wealth doesn't come from income, it comes from control. Napoleon Hill called this principle definiteness of purpose. When you spend without clarity, you drift. And drifting is the enemy of success. A man with no budget is like a ship without a rudder, always moving, never arriving. But when you live with purpose, when you assign every dollar a mission, that's when money starts working for you, not against you. Jewish wisdom, ancient but relevant. Jewish teachings say, who is rich? He who is happy with what he has. Warren Buffett, yes. The Oracle himself still lives in the same modest house he bought in 1958. He could live in a palace, but he chooses peace over performance, discipline over display. Because wealth isn't about the car in your driveway, it's about the calm in your heart. The golden rule: spend 70%, keep 30%. Here's the formula ancient Jewish families and today's smartest investors live by. Spend no more than 70-80% of your take-home pay. Save 10%. Invest 10%. Reserve the rest for emergencies or opportunities. You may think, that's impossible. My income barely covers my life. But have you really looked at where your money goes? Try this challenge. Go through the last 90 days of your bank statements and highlight every non-essential expense in red. That's $6 coffee every morning. That's $180 a month. Subscriptions like Netflix, Hulu, and Disney Plus combined can quietly drain an extra $50 or more each month. Impulse buys at Target or Amazon? Easy, $200, $300. Suddenly, you're bleeding $500, $700 a month, and you didn't even notice. Napoleon Hill said, "The ladder of success is never crowded at the top because so few are willing to climb it one disciplined step at a time." This is your first step. Minimalism doesn't mean misery, it means mindful living. Let's be clear. Living below your means isn't about depriving yourself. It's about choosing consciously. Love great food? Cut back on tech. Love travel? Reduce shopping. The wealthy don't say, "I can't afford it." They say, "Is this the best use of my capital for the future I'm building?" They play chess, not checkers, thinking 5 moves ahead, not 5 minutes ahead. Why it works. The compound effect. Here's what makes this rule dangerously powerful. It compounds. If you redirect just $500 every month into an S&P 500 index fund over the course of 20 years, it could grow into more than $250,000 thanks to the power of compound interest. And that's not even counting the peace of mind, the lower stress, the power of being unshackled from consumer slavery. You stop reacting to life and start designing it. That's what living below your means really is. Not about saving pennies, but about claiming power. Action steps. 1. Audit your spending. Red pen, dega fedwar ugain days. Brutal honesty. 2. Set your rule of 70. Commit to never spending more than 70% of take-home pay. 3. Assign purpose to every dollar. Save, invest, reserve. 4. Track 30 days of transformation and watch your confidence skyrocket. Final thought. You cannot conquer the world until you conquer your wallet. And you cannot conquer your wallet until you conquer yourself. This first rule is the foundation, the mindset shift from spender to steward, from financial follower to wealth commander. Because when you live below your means, you're no longer chasing money, you're leading it. And that is how real empires begin. Let's be honest. Debt is the most elegant form of financial slavery ever invented. It looks harmless, even helpful at first. A swipe here, a signature there, but underneath the surface, it's a trap. Jewish wisdom doesn't just warn against debt, it treats it like a moral hazard, a danger to both your bank account and your soul. The borrower is slave to the lender. Proverbs. Let that sink in. Because if you owe money, you are not free. Napoleon Hill called this the loss of self-direction. When you're in debt, your future is already spoken for. The income you haven't even earned yet is already someone else's. You're not building your dream, you're repaying theirs. And no amount of effort, hustle, or side gigs will set you free. If your foundation is built on borrowed time, credit cards, the friendly enemy. The average American over 40 carries over $6,000 in credit card debt. At interest rates of 20% or more, that debt can double before you know it. Dave from Illinois put a $3,000 vacation on his card. He thought he'd pay it off next month. 3 years later, he's still making minimum payments, and he's already paid nearly $2,000 in interest. That's not convenience. That's compound interest working against you. Jewish tradition. Debt is a spiritual danger. In ancient Jewish communities, charging interest to a fellow Jew was forbidden. Why? Because profiting from someone's hardship was seen as unethical, even sinful. Debt was only taken in extreme need and paid off as quickly as possible. Because carrying debt wasn't just risky, it was spiritually heavy. In Jewish homes today, you'll often find parents teaching children this rule early. If you can't buy it twice, you probably can't afford it. They save first. They pay in full. They don't chase flashy lifestyles funded by financing. The path to freedom. The avalanche method. So how do you escape this invisible prison? Start by facing it. Make a list of every debt you owe. What's the balance? What's the interest rate? What's the minimum payment? Clarity reduces fear. Once it's all laid out, use the avalanche method. 1. Pay the minimums on everything except the debt with the highest interest rate. 2. Throw every extra dollar at that one until it's gone. 3. Then move to the next. Each debt you destroy is like reclaiming a piece of your future. Cut the source. But don't just pay off the fire, stop fueling it. If credit cards are your weakness, cut them off literally. Use cash. Use debit. Use preloaded cards. Until you've built the muscle of discipline, start a small emergency fund, even just $1,000, so when life hits, you don't reach for the visa. Napoleon Hill taught that self-mastery begins with financial self-control, because if you can't say no to small temptations, you'll never have the strength to say yes to big opportunities. Final thought. Debt is not just a number. It's a weight that slows your dreams. It's a chain around your potential. But chains can be broken with focus, with discipline, with a clear plan. You can walk out of the prison that millions have accepted as normal and into a life of financial freedom that very few ever dare to claim. Because the truth is this: a man in debt is never truly free, even if his wallet is full. And you were born to be free. If every dollar in your bank account vanished tomorrow, Would you still have the skills, the mindset, and the wisdom to rebuild it? Because that's the true test of wealth. Napoleon Hill once said, "The man who continues learning becomes increasingly valuable to himself, to his family, and to society." That's not theory, it's legacy. And it's why the Jewish community places unshakable importance on education and knowledge. Not just in youth, but for life. Ancient roots of lifelong learning. In Jewish tradition, studying isn't something you stop when school ends. It's a lifelong responsibility, a sacred habit. The Talmud teaches, if you give someone money, you feed them for a day. If you teach them wisdom, you feed them for a lifetime. This mindset has produced lawyers, doctors, investors, and entrepreneurs, even from families who once arrived in new countries penniless. Because while others were chasing quick cash, they were building mental capital, the hidden cost of financial ignorance. Let's be real. Most people stop learning about money by age 30. After that, they drift through life, hoping it all works out, and then wonder why they fall for scams, why retirement looks impossible, why they're still broke at 50 despite working for decades. Financial ignorance is expensive, and it compounds just like interest. In contrast, Jewish communities invest in adult learning workshops, books, seminars, even weekly discussions about finance and ethics. Knowledge is treated as a currency, one that always appreciates. Make wisdom a daily habit. You don't need a degree. You need consistency. Start with just 15 minutes a day. Read books like The Millionaire Next Door or Think and Grow Rich. Listen to podcasts while you drive or work out. Enroll in free financial courses from Coursera or edX. Follow thinkers who challenge your assumptions, not just confirm your habits. Then go a step further. Teach what you learn. Share it with your partner, your kids, your team, or your online community. Because when you teach, you master. And when you master, you multiply. Jewish culture. Knowledge is generational wealth. Jewish parents don't just pass down money, they pass down mindsets. They raise children to ask questions, challenge ideas, and seek truth. That's how families go from street vendors to investors in just 2 generations. They understand that while houses can burn and markets can crash, your knowledge is recession-proof. You can lose money. You can lose your job, but no one can repossess your mind. Hill's principle. Specialized knowledge is power. Napoleon Hill emphasized that general education alone is not enough. An educated man is not necessarily one who has an abundance of general or specialized knowledge. An educated man is one who has developed the faculties of his mind so that he may acquire anything he wants or its equivalent without violating the rights of others. This is where true power lies. The ability to learn anything, apply it, and teach it. That's how you become irreplaceable. Start now. Your future self will thank you. If you don't already track your learning, start a journal today. Write down one new financial insight every day. Reflect weekly on how you're applying it. Revisit lessons regularly. The best ideas are worth repeating. Over time, this becomes your personal library of financial wisdom curated by you, for you. Final thought. Money comes and goes. Jobs change. Circumstances evolve. But knowledge, when cultivated, protected, and shared, becomes a fire that lights the way for you, your family, and generations to come. So ask yourself, are you investing in what lasts? Because the most valuable asset you'll ever own is your mind. Let me tell you something that predates the New York Stock Exchange by over 2,000 years. Divide your wealth into 3 parts, 1 in land, 1 in business, and 1 in reserve. Talmud, before brokers, before banks, before portfolios, Jewish sages already understood one of the most powerful laws of wealth. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Napoleon Hill called it guarding against unexpected change. Because the truth is, the moment you think your income is safe is the moment you're most exposed. The illusion of security. Most Americans have one job, one source of income, one plan. And when that plan fails due to layoffs, illness, divorce, or market collapse, their entire world collapses with it. But Jewish families, having survived centuries of exile, war, and economic resets, learned this one principle the hard way. Security doesn't come from how much you make. It comes from how well you're positioned when life hits. The rule of thirds, a modern reframe. Let's translate ancient wisdom into modern strategy. 1/3 for growth. Stocks, ETFs, index funds, anything with potential upside. 1/3 for stability. Real estate, bonds, REITs, rental properties, assets that hold ground even when markets shake. 1/3 for liquidity. Cash, money market accounts, or highly liquid short-term investments ready for emergencies or opportunity. This isn't about maximizing returns. It's about minimizing devastation. Because wealth isn't just built on a fence. It's protected through defense. Lessons from financial crashes. 2008 proved this brutally. People who had everything in real estate, crushed. 2011, same story with gold. 2022, tech stocks fell by 30-70% in months. The ones who survived and thrived weren't the ones who predicted the market. They were the ones who prepared for any market. The wise man prepares for winter in the middle of summer. Napoleon Hill, stress test your life. Let me ask you something. If your biggest asset dropped 4% tomorrow, would you still be okay? If your job disappeared next month, would you be able to pay your bills for 6 months? If not, you're not diversified, you're exposed. This isn't paranoia. It's wisdom. It's what Jewish families have practiced across continents and centuries, spreading risk so no one disaster could take them down. Multiple streams of income, not just assets. Diversification isn't just about where your money is, it's where your money comes from. Start building a side hustle that grows in the background, a small real estate play, an online product, course, or consulting gig. Dividends from ETFs, a long-term family business. You don't need them all at once. But the more pillars you build, the more unshakable your financial house becomes. What Hill said about controlled risk. The man who takes no chances generally has to take whatever is left when others are through choosing. But the key is intelligent. Risk calculated, measured, spread. It's not about fear. It's about foresight. Final thought. A storm is always coming someday. The question is, will you be ready? When you diversify, like the ancient sages taught, when you apply the practical mind of the modern investor, when you spread your strength instead of betting it all on luck, you don't just survive crashes. You use them to rise higher. Remember this, the wealthy don't avoid risk. They just never bet the farm on one crop. Let me ask you a simple but dangerous question. Do you actually know where your money went this month? If you're like most people, the answer is vague at best, and that right there is why wealth slips through their fingers like sand. In Jewish tradition, self-accountability is sacred. The Talmud teaches that a person must review their deeds daily. That includes your spending. Every dollar is a decision. Every purchase is a reflection of your values or your impulses. Napoleon Hill would call this organized effort. Because money without a plan is like an army with no general. Where awareness begins, power begins. Here's the brutal truth. Most people feel broke, not because they don't earn enough, but because they have no idea where it's all going, and that unconscious behavior leads to anxiety, guilt, shame, and worst of all, inaction. But there's another path, the path of clarity and control. The Jewish habit of financial review. In Orthodox communities, even families with modest incomes practice meticulous budgeting. They account for every shekel. They teach children to track allowance. Small shops keep handwritten ledgers daily. Why? Because what gets measured gets mastered. When you track your money, you don't wonder where it went, you tell it where to go. You don't just spend, you strategize. You stop reacting and start commanding. Build your tracking system. You don't need a finance degree. You need a system you can stick to. Pen and notebook? Perfect. Google Sheets or Excel? Excellent. Apps like YNAB, Mint, Every Dollar? Even better. Start with a 7-day money audit. Write down every dollar, yes, even the coffee. Break expenses into clear categories. Essentials: rent, groceries, gas. Wants: dining out, subscriptions, shopping. Investments: stocks, books, education. Giving: charity, tithes, support. At the end of the week, look at the patterns. Are your dollars aligned with your priorities or your impulses? What Hill would say: discipline comes through self-control. This means one must control all negative qualities. Before you can control conditions, you must first control yourself. Tracking every dollar isn't just financial. It's emotional mastery. It's saying, I am the master of my money, not its servant. Doing a weekly financial check-in leads to steady financial growth. Set aside Quince minutes every Sunday. Review income and expenses. Adjust categories if needed. Plan for the week ahead. Celebrate wins. I saved $60 on groceries this week. Spot leaks. I spent $120 on impulse Amazon buys. It's not about restriction. It's about awareness. Because from awareness comes power. Final thought. Tracking money isn't boring. It's bold. It's the habit that separates paycheck prisoners from wealth builders. It's the difference between hoping you're okay and knowing you're on the right path. So from today forward, every dollar you earn becomes a soldier, and you, the general, decide the mission. When you track your money with discipline and clarity, you stop being confused, reactive, and overwhelmed. You become dangerous. You become deliberate. You become free. Let me share with you one of the most counterintuitive truths about wealth. Giving is not a subtraction. It's a multiplier. That may sound spiritual, but it's also practical. And it's one of the most powerful secrets passed down through generations of Jewish families. In Hebrew, the word for charity is tzedakah, but it doesn't mean charity the way most people think of it. It means justice, righteousness, a moral obligation. Why the wealthy give more? Jewish wisdom teaches that giving is a duty even for those with very little. In fact, even those who rely on help are still required to help others. Why? Because giving doesn't just transfer money. It transfers dignity, connection, and power both to the receiver and the giver. You see, money flows where trust lives. And the person who contributes to others builds the strongest kind of trust, community trust. When crisis hits, those who gave are rarely alone. What Napoleon Hill would say, it is literally true that you can succeed best and quickest by helping others to succeed. Giving is not just moral, it's magnetic. It attracts goodwill. It builds bridges, and it makes your wealth mean something. Give with a system, not emotion. Most people give reactively when guilt hits or when asked. But Jewish families often treat giving like a monthly bill. It's planned. It's consistent. It's built into the budget. You can start small, 2 to 3% of your monthly income. Then grow to 10% as your finances stabilize. Set up automatic donations to causes that align with your values, whether that's helping children, fighting hunger, funding education, or supporting spiritual communities. You don't need to be wealthy to give. You need to be willing. Raise givers, not just earners. In many Jewish households, children are taught to give as early as age 5. Each Friday before Shabbat, kids drop coins into a small tzedakah box. It's not about the amount. It's about the habit. The belief that wealth is not hoarded, it's circulated. This mindset is why Jewish communities stay strong across generations, because wealth is shared, not siloed. Start a family giving night. Let your kids help. Pick the causes. Turn giving into an act of purpose, not pity. Giving protects you too. It's not just feel-good philosophy. When you give, you build relational equity. People who will remember you, support you, speak your name in rooms you're not in. When Warren Buffett gave away 99% of his wealth, he wasn't going broke. He was going eternal. Giving creates meaning that money alone never can. Final thought. True wealth is not measured by what you keep. It's measured by what flows through you. When you give, you build trust, you build connection, you build a legacy. A rich bank account can make you feel powerful, but a rich soul makes you unforgettable. Start giving like the wealthy with strategy, consistency, and heart. Let me ask you something that most people avoid. If something happened to you tomorrow, would your family be okay? Would they be financially protected? Or would they be left picking up the pieces of a life never fully prepared? Jewish wisdom doesn't leave that question to chance. For thousands of years, Jewish families have lived by one powerful principle. The wise see danger ahead and prepare. Proverbs 22:3. True wealth thinks generations ahead. While most Americans plan for the next paycheck, Jewish households often plan for the next generation, and even the one after that. They don't just leave money, they leave clarity, direction, and stability. From detailed wills to college funds for unborn grandchildren to instructions for what to do in a crisis, they operate with a mindset Napoleon Hill would call definiteness of purpose. Because the most powerful form of wealth is preparedness. Estate planning is not just for the rich. Most people think, I don't have enough to plan an estate. But here's the truth. If you own anything, a car, a bank account, a child's future, you need a plan. Because when you don't decide, the courts will. And they rarely decide in your favor. Start simple. Create a will, assign a power of attorney. Complete a healthcare directive. Name your beneficiaries. List and store all important documents in a safe, central location. You don't need an expensive lawyer. You need intentionality. Build your in case of emergency kit. Think of this like your wealth survival binder, a single folder your family can turn to when life changes suddenly. Include bank account details, insurance policies, passwords, contacts, retirement plan, instructions for your funeral or estate. It might feel uncomfortable today, but it brings unshakable peace tomorrow. Retirement. Don't wait to prepare. A Jewish family doesn't wait until 60 to think about retirement. They start with the end in mind, just like a master architect. You should too. Max out your 401k or IRA. Invest early and consistently. Project your income versus expenses in your golden years. Reevaluate annually. Don't set it and forget it. If you're over 40, it's not too late. If you're under 40, it's not too early. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is today. Don't just leave assets, leave values. Jewish families don't just pass down wealth, they pass down wisdom. What good is a full bank account? If your children have an empty compass, start talking about money with your family. Teach your kids what you've learned from your mistakes and your victories. Tell stories, write letters, record videos, leave a blueprint. Because when you combine financial preparedness with emotional clarity, you don't just leave money, you leave a legacy. Final words. So many people spend their lives trying to get rich, but very few ever become prepared. And unprepared wealth is temporary. Prepared wealth, that's eternal. Prepare with courage. Plan with love. Leave a legacy that speaks long after you're gone. Let me leave you with this. You've just discovered 7 timeless money principles passed down through wars, exiles, recessions, and generations. These aren't just financial tips. They are life philosophies that have helped ordinary people create extraordinary wealth and stability. And now they're in your hands. Will you just know these rules, or will you live them? Because the difference between the rich and the broke is not luck. It's not IQ. It's how they think, plan, give, and act. You don't need a perfect past. You don't need a big inheritance. You just need to start. And when you do, you stop surviving. You start building. You stop wishing. You start leading. Because wealth is not what you have. It's what you consistently do with what you have. Now it's your turn to build a financial life you're proud of, one that brings peace today and legacy tomorrow. If you got value from this video, show it some love by hitting like. Type, "I'm building my legacy" in the comments if you're serious about applying these rules. And most importantly, subscribe if you want more powerful lessons every week to build wealth, purpose, and freedom the Napoleon Hill way. I read every single comment. Your journey is personal to me, and your future is built by what you do right now. Don't forget to share this video with someone you love, because wealth is better when it's built together. Your future self is watching. Make decisions today that make them proud tomorrow. See you in the next one. Stay disciplined, stay bold, stay wealthy,